So my main first stop on this solo road trip that I'm doing up the east coast of Australia is Yeppoon, but on the way I decided to stop and camp over at Gingin overnight, and there's this Bulboonda tunnel which is 192 metres long of unsupported tunnel that's home to lots of bats. So I camped in Gingin for the night, and this is just about half an hour west from the main free camp in Gingin, which is pretty cool. There's lots of bats there and it's just a nice little drive through the tunnel there. But my main first destination was definitely Yeppoon. So some of you may or may not know that I lived in Yeppoon for a year, about a year or two ago, and I loved it there. So you've also probably heard of the Byfield National Park and Five Rocks. So this is where I'm currently driving right now. And you can see how dry it is. This water crossing that I'm going over right now, you know, what is about 1 centimetre or 2 centimetres deep. I've driven through that before where it's come up past my bonnet. So there's 2 creek crossings. One of them was completely dry with nothing in it, which was in the first video. And then that one that only just had a couple centimetres of water. So I was quite nervous getting to Big Sandy, which is sort of the infamous part of Five Rocks, because it hasn't dried in this, it hasn't rained in this area for an extremely long time. So Big Sandy is just a giant sand dune of soft sand. So I was a little bit nervous about just how soft and dry this place was. And at the time of filming this, I only had my new Dobinson's lift that I'd installed myself and my new 33s in for about a week or two. So it is very new for me, all this, and I've been having a lot of people messaging me asking for reviews on how I like the new lift and tyres. So I will do another video on that separately, but I can say in this 3,000 kilometre road trip that I've just done over the east coast, you know, I've at least given it a good run in, and I sort of have a good idea on how the suspension's working. And I will say it is a lot better than what my old ones were. If you've seen my old ones, you've seen that they were in absolutely shocking condition, and I shouldn't have been driving in them, but I was just a bit lazy and it costs a lot of money. So yeah, I will be doing a review on that. But as you can see here, I'm currently at the sort of bottom part of Big Sandy. So before you try doing Big Sandy, pull into like a little stopping bay at the bottom. There's usually a sign there, and radio into channel 40 and just make sure if there's anyone going down, because there are parts where it splits into 2 and then one-way track. So you're wanting to gain as much speed as you can before going up Big Sandy, so you just don't want to have to collide with anyone while you're sending it up. And as you can see, I'm taking the left-hand track here on Big Sandy, which is sort of the harder part of Big Sandy. It's the way that you should go, but you can go up the right-hand side if you're struggling, because as you can imagine, everyone going up the left is really chewing it out. So, you know, if you have a caravan or something like that, you're probably better to go on the right-hand side because it is a lot smoother. You'll see in my video when I'm coming down Big Sandy how less rutted out it is. So you can see I am getting quite a fair bit of speed up Big Sandy. My tyre pressures are at about 17 PSI, and the last 20 metres or so of Big Sandy is where it's rutted out the most. So just keep pushing through, put your foot flat to the ground. As long as you don't stop, you should be fine. I've never had a problem going up Big Sandy, and like I said, I lived in Yeppoon for a year and I was up at Five Rocks every weekend, every Friday and Saturday night, and I never once had a problem. And as I said, if you are wanting to go up the right hand side, just make sure that you're radioing in to make sure no one's going down, because if you're going up the right hand side, technically you are going up the wrong way. So maybe send one car up first and they can sort of sit up the top of Big Sandy and stop anyone coming down for a minute or two while you're trying to make it up. And if it's your first time going to Five Rocks, you're probably wanting to make your way to Stockyard Point, which has an awesome view where you can actually see the Five Rocks itself and watch the sunset and all that. So to get to Stockyard Point, just keep driving straight ahead. There are a few intersections or crossroads, which if you know the area, they're shortcuts to the different beaches you can take. But if it's your first time getting to Five Rocks, just keep driving straight ahead and you'll end up at Stockyard Point. And then from Stockyard Point, you sort of get a good view of the area and can decide if you want to go down to 3 Rivers Beach or 9 Mile. 9 Mile's good because there's a little freshwater creek, sort of like, you know, how there's Eli Creek at Fraser Island, but nowhere near as big as that. Like, it's only shallow, but it's just a nice little freshwater creek where you can cool off. Also, I was kind of disappointed at how little water there was in there, because as I said, it just hasn't rained in so long, so the place is just so dry. There's barely any water in there. But you can see now this is the part of Stockyard Point where there's houses, so there are people that live here, or you can rent accommodation if you're wanting for the weekend. Stockyard Point is a really beautiful spot to get to, and so I got to Five Rocks sort of late in the afternoon, so we ended up just watching the sunset at Stockyard Point there. I didn't really get much footage at Point itself just because there was a lot of people there, and I'm still very awkward with filming and getting my camera out and all that, but it's definitely one of the best spots to go to see Five Rocks itself and to watch the sunset. It's one of my favourite four-wheel driving locations. As I said, I lived in Yeppoon for a year, and I'm not joking when I said that I went to Five Rocks pretty much every weekend. You can see I'm heading back now. It's night time. I don't know why my spotties make it look like it's so bright and white in one location, but it's not like that when I'm driving. It actually gives really good light. It's not blinding me that much. But one thing I do like about driving at night time is at least I can see all of like the rut outs and the corrugation and all that, because it really shows up the shadows, so you can sort of know what speed you're going. And then also a lot of these tracks, you don't know if there's a car coming in the other direction, but you can see, you know, their spotlights usually. This right here, I took the right hand track, which also again you're not really supposed to take because this is a one-way track, but if you know the area, you're getting from 9 Mile back to Yeppoon, if you take the right hand track, one part of it's about half as short as if you went on the left hand side. You know, it wasn't really busy this night and there ended up being no one coming in the opposite direction, but just keep making sure, and you know, you're supposed to stick to the left wherever. Don't listen to me all the time, I'm not always teaching the right information. But Five Rocks is just, it's a whole load of fun. There's Big Sandy, just gives you such an adrenaline rush. 9 Mile, such an amazing camping area, sunset, sunrise, good fishing, everything like that. Just Five Rocks is really the place that you want to go at least once. And as long as you're smart and responsible, you'll have no worries about it.